by consensus, the 1986 Masters is the greatest Masters ever played.
It's Jack Nicklaus winning in 1986 and what that meant for him in capping his career.
Jack had not won a golf tournament of any kind for almost 2 years. So by April 1986, the stage was set.
Just the presence of arguably the greatest golfer that's ever lived, being able to do what he did at that age, that stands up too.
Tiger's win in '97 was transformational on so many levels, but I like to think of it how it was sort of transformational in my own little world. It was my daughter Annie's baptism, right? First grandchild, all the families gathered around, but everybody, instead of focusing on the lovely new child in my life, were watching Tiger Woods win the Masters.
He was hitting clubs in that no one else was hitting in. He was hitting 9-irons and wedges into par 5s. And it was just, miniaturizing the golf course.
I was just a kid in 1997, and I'd heard of Tiger Woods, but hadn't really watched him that much. And by Sunday, I was obsessed with him. I was obsessed with golf. I think a lot of today's players even point to that moment as being sparks for their own career.
When you think of heartwarming stories of the Masters, Ben Crenshaw winning after his coach Harvey Penick had passed, and how emotional it must have been for him to have to experience that, to go to the funeral and then to come back to Augusta. And he'd been a past champion, obviously, there, but he wasn't that great a player at the time, quite honestly. He probably played much better than anyone would have anticipated on a normal week, let alone one with such tragedy.
Seldom has there been a more popular victory than Phil Mickelson's in 2004, and it might have been the loudest. I was standing behind the 18th green, and all of a sudden, just this explosion of sound. Of course, it happened after Phil sank the long birdie putt and jumped up in joy.
Here was a guy that so many people had associated with coming up short and had finally broken through. It was such a big story for golf at that point for a guy who was supposed to be the next star, and he finally had delivered.
One of the things you need to have a great tournament is you need great players, you need a great venue, you need compelling moments. And the 75 Masters had all of that.
This was electric stuff. You watch it, and it's the most riveting 4 hours you ever spent in your life.
You have Nicklaus, Weiskopf, Miller coming down the stretch. Any one of them could win. Each one would have been a seminal moment in their career. And to have that all come together in one event made it an all-time classic.